500 years ago, you did not have to deal with tons of mercury being pumped into the air, with pesticides drowning your food, with microwaves bouncing all over the skies. We live in a toxic world. What can we do about it? We're going to deal with that next. Welcome, everybody. This is the Life Enthusiast online radio and TV network, restoring vitality to you and the planet. I'm your co-host, Scott Patton. Joining us, as usual, is health coach Martin Patella. Hey, Martin, how you doing today?
It's all right. I'm struggling with too many things on my plate, but I just need to get a bigger plate, I think.
Absolutely. So 2 weeks ago, we started a new 4-week series. So we're halfway through it, The Fundamentals of Vibrant Health. And in week 1, we talked about malnutrition versus superfoods. We discussed ultra-processed foods and how they are, and what they are, how to avoid them, and what to eat instead. And we also talked that week about seed oils, which was really, really important. Last week, we tackled the #1 pandemic of our time, stagnation. Yep, eating Doritos, drinking Coke, then sitting all day in front of a computer like we are doing right now. It's not what we were designed for. This week, we're going to hit on the third of our big 4, and that's toxicity. And we want to start off, Martin, by, how does toxicity impact our health? And we've got 3 different types. We've got the environmental toxins, we've got toxic relationships, and we have workplace toxicity. Let's talk
about we have metabolic toxicity too.
And we have metabolic toxicity. So where do you want to start?
Well, the stuff that we should really address, #1 and first, is the environmental stuff. The understanding we all need to have is that starting about 1800s, industrial process got going. We have created a lot of conveniences for ourselves. We have created very rich and fulfilling lives for many people, more people on the planet than ever before. However, burning coal produces toxic things. One of them is sulfur oxide or dioxide that causes a lot of problems. But more than anything, mercury. Mercury is in coal and is released in the air and is very toxic. And then follow that with petroleum industry, which gave us plastics and later herbicides and pesticides, all of which is being released into the environment. This is the planet Earth. We are in it, on it, within it. When you put something toxic that was previously buried in the ground or never existed before as a herbicide or pesticide, and when you release it out into the environment, it doesn't go anywhere. It's in the environment. So with each succeeding ton of glyphosate that's being put out, there's just simply more and more of it, and it eventually will reach all of us, no matter how hard we try. So we need to now adjust our lifestyles in such a way that we are able to defend against this onslaught of this industrial toxicity.
So I guess one of the major questions when it comes to like our environment and the toxicity is, why haven't our scientists sort of said, like, these are the limits? Or like you were talking about plastic. And I remember when plastic was introduced, it was like the savior of the world because we're going to be able to hold things forever. It's not going to fall apart and break down. Yeah. Now, 70 years later, it doesn't break down and we're full of plastic that we can't get rid of.
You know the story, every virtue taken to its extreme becomes a vice. The yin and the yang of it, right? Yes, it's indestructible. Oh my God, it's indestructible.
Right. So it just strikes me as like, why aren't we working on solutions?
Well, it's the perception, Scott. Anything that's geometric, as you add stuff, I'll give you a wonderful question, which is, if you have a pond that's going to be covered in lilies or whatever plants in 30
Yeah,
days,
lilies.
yeah, lilies in 30 days, and the surface area is doubling every day, on which day is it going to be 3/4 empty? Day 28.
Day 28.
You know, it's nothing, 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 nothing. Like on day 22, you still have 90% of the pond empty.
Right. So we have this exponential curve, right?
Yeah, you're doubling every day, boom, 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 and it's over. And so remember some time ago, I was talking about the LD, lethal dose.
Right.
Combining lethal doses, when you combine LD1, kills 1 in 100 of mercury, with LD1 on lead, you kill everyone. The exponential goes steeply up. So when we are putting, so let's just say glyphosate as an example, into the environment, there will come a day when we hit the hockey stick turn on the curve, and all of a sudden it's a dramatic disaster. We have hit this with plastics, right? Like all of a sudden, waterways and ocean shores are just choked in plastic now.
Yeah, we have areas of the oceans that are as large as Texas that are just full of plastic.
Yeah, the great big whirl. Yeah, we should probably go in there with some nets and whatnots and hunt for plastic, as long as we can figure out how to convert it into something useful.
Right. So we're aware that our environment can be causing a lot of health issues. And normally when we say health issues, we mean, colds, cancers, and heart attacks and all that sort of, the big bad stuff. But it can also, another area of toxicity is relationships and mental health. So you had mentioned aluminum, and in a lot of people who pass away, who have dementia, they open up the brain, take a look at what's in there, and they find a lot of aluminum. So these environmental toxins we've been talking about also affect our mental well-being, our emotional well-being.
Right. Yeah, well, you started talking about the relationships. Of course, that's a whole different level of toxicity, right? When you, the standard one, the best paraphrase I know is that not forgiving someone or having a hate for someone is like taking the poison pill, hoping that the other party will die.
Yeah, it's funny when people say, you've got to forgive that person, and no, I'm never going to forgive them. Well, they're not forgiving them for them. You're forgiving them for you.
Yeah. Otherwise, you are stewing. And when you are in the vibration of unforgiveness, that in fact is the vibration frequency for cancer. Both grievances and unforgiveness are, hear me clearly, the vibrational frequency for cancer. It's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you that matters a lot. So contemplate that. And maybe figure out some way of letting go of negative experiences. Well, it's not a negative experience. Let's just say that you have an opportunity to learn something important, a lesson. Right. It may be painful, but figuring out how to be grateful for the lesson is really important.
Which means that you need to change, right? Like you need to learn to grow, which means that if you grow, you're not the same as you were before you grew. Yeah, so away you go. And I think that happens with a lot of people is something not pleasant happens, and then they hang on to it, and they want to beat the other person or beat them down, whether it's emotionally or verbally or physically. Yeah. And none of that really helps you in the end.
Yeah. I remember Tony Robbins. He said, it's not what happens, it's what you do in reaction to it or in response to it. Right. There's just zero chance that you will not encounter loss, pain, suffering, tragedy. Every one of us will have that. zero chance it will not happen to every one of us.
Yeah, it's. I was going to say something now. I forgot what it was. But,
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Let's move on. So, what are some of the health effects of toxicity?
Well,
It's like
okay,
short term and long term.
So the emotional toxicity, I promise you, is cancerous.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say my life is going along. I'm calm. I'm cool. I'm collected. There's nothing wrong. The sun is shining. Everything is rosy. And then all of a sudden, the black clouds roll in, the thunderstorms, and there's a big fight or there's a big to do about something. And I know in that second, I'm going to get a cold. 2 days later, sniffly, coffee, everything else. And because I know that when my emotional state goes in the negative, my body starts to get sick.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There are people who will have their back go out.
Yeah.
In response to emotional trauma. There are people who will get a headache. There are people who have chronic inflammatory conditions that they are using as a way of defining themselves as I'm suffering. The world has been, I have this deal. I have been dealt a rotten hand.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of toxicity, that all is toxic. And I promise you that 80% of a health problem is caused not in the physical, but in the emotional and mental.
So some of the physical symptoms we could see would be like chronic fatigue, weight loss, weight gain, can't sleep, skin rashes, mood swings. You talked about the headache and stuff. Not tonight, dear.
Yeah. Some are more immediate and some are more permanent.
Right. And then the mental and emotional indicators, if you're feeling anxious or depressed or burnt out, a constant feeling of stress, there's psychological toxicity going on.
Right.
And I think part of what's difficult for people is understanding you have a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and some people say a supraconscious mind, or the connection to
higher
God,
self, the higher self, and the underworld of you. You're conscious, and then you have a whole bunch of stuff going on under the level of consciousness.
Like when you see, you just reminded me of a time when I was in a meeting and I had a partner, and she, like halfway through the meeting, she went off on a rant that was semi-racist, totally uncalled for. And I'm like looking at her like, what are you doing? And she was like, when she was done, it was like she just arrived. Like she didn't know what she had done the previous 5 minutes, right? And totally destroyed the relationship and everything else. So there was this self-sabotaging thing going on, but that was all subconscious or unconscious, right? I mean, it wasn't something that
spilled out, right?
It just came out like, oops, what did I say, right? And we do that. That happens a lot because our subconscious mind, in my opinion, is like 90+% of all the activity that goes on. And so if you don't have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind like on the same page, then you're kicking the door, but accidentally stubbing your toe, or you're falling over, or your car accidentally runs into slides into a pole, or bad things are happening. Like, why are these happening? Well, it's because your subconscious and your conscious are not aligned, and it's the subconscious like a 5-year-old kid, in my opinion, right? You treat yourself badly. Oh, I'm so stupid, right? Like, and then this kid has a tantrum, and you're wondering like, why am I behaving this way? It's because you're not connected, and there's that toxicity because of it.
Yeah, there's more going on in here, and a lot of things that you're saying are so grounded in science. For example, there are certain developmental gates at 1 year of age, 2 years of age, 4 years of age, and 6 years of age. And at about 6 years of age, give or take, we get our consciousness. We actually gain control over what we accept as fact. Until you're about 6 years old, whatever you see, hear, or whatever, these are deposits that are made into your subconscious without the benefit of a filter. So a lot of stuff gets deposited into children's minds that is totally illogical. Like I remember one of the examples is called the lollipop, where the 4-year-old girl is saying, "Mommy, I want a lollipop. My sister is eating one." And Mommy says, "Well, listen, your sister has already finished her dinner. When you finished your dinner, I'm going to give you a lollipop." No, I want the lollipop now. And Mother repeats, "No, you will have it when you finish your dinner." So what gets deposited into subconscious now is acted out at the 30 years of age, where this girl, now woman, believes that she's unlovable and deserves nothing, and sabotages her career at a meeting because she just cannot possibly succeed. She deserves nothing. She's worthless. She's unlovable. That's the deposit that was made with that lollipop. And the only, we talked about how that can be undone, right? You cannot reach into it with a talk. You cannot talk your way through this using analytical psychology or whatever, psychoanalytics. Doesn't work.
It's not data.
No.
It's emotions.
It's emotions. So there are ways. Neuro-linguistic programming is one of them, as is quantum healing and EFT.
You talk about that often. I like
body talk. And there are many useful technologies that are made available. And every one of us needs to process. There's no chance that you don't have mess in your subconscious.
And it doesn't matter if you have the perfect parents too, because you interpret things and you will easily interpret it the wrong way.
Yeah, well, see the lollipop event, right? This was the most caring, well-meaning mother who wanted to take care of the girl's nourishment.
Yeah.
Right?
And I can't have a lollipop. So, Martin, what are some of the things we can do nutritionally to detox?
Right. So there are two kinds of toxicities. That's the industrial age stuff. And you have to have external tools to get it out. I really like zeolite because it's a very useful binder. It is very good at attracting both the heavy metals as well as volatile organic compounds and all the forever chemicals. You can see multiple options. We have liquid, capsules, and powders as well. So zeolite is my favorite on this. Other ways, metabolic toxicity is something that relates to how your gut and your liver and your kidneys are working. And you may need to work on that too. And that's what we usually call detox, as in you go on a fast, drinking a lot of water, lemon juice, that sort of thing. And also we have products that help with helping your liver, like humic and fulvic acid, probiotics, fiber. Fiber is super important. And
actually, Martin, one of the fibers that I wanted to talk about was the apple fiber, because that's a pretty amazing product that we've got. So we've only got a few minutes left. So let's talk a little bit about the apple fiber.
Yeah, it's actually high pectin apple fiber. Pectin is a phenomenal thing. You will find pectin also in a product known as Pectasol, which is bioflavonoid pectins from citrus fruits. This happens to be pectin from apples. And the fiber that's here is very gentle. It's a fiber that doesn't act like a steel brush. It acts like a gentle scrubber in your digestive system. So when you put that in, it helps to absorb toxins and it helps to move things along, providing, well, the fiber, the scrubbing action to the gut. Actually, our ancestors, like the hunter-gatherers, they ate about 100 grams of fiber in a day. These days, the industrial age target is about 35 grams a day. And what many people get is much less, because there's very little fiber or zero fiber in meat and very little fiber in refined flour. So if you're eating pizza and taco and whatever else fast food restaurant business with one slice of tomato and one leaf of lettuce, you are sorely short on the amount of fiber that should be in your diet.
Cool. And the other one I wanted to talk about was Royal Detox.
Right. So that's an encapsulated zeolite mixed with really good natural things. If you click on the ingredients, you'll see the list. And the ingredients include the zeolite itself, and chlorella, cilantro, spirulina, apple pectin, and crystalloid electrolytes. Now, these crystalloid electrolytes, that's actually fulvic acid, which I already mentioned is phenomenally useful at helping the body set up a good terrain in the gut. And this pectin, that's, well, apple pectin, I just mentioned it. And chlorella is very good at absorbing toxins, while cilantro is exceedingly good at knocking the toxins from their hiding places. So when you have the industrial age toxicity in your body, one of the problems with it is that the body tries to sequester it, hide it in places where there's little circulation. So it will go into your fat, like the fat around your hips and your belly. It will, but unfortunately, brain is also made of mostly fat, so it will end up in your brain. And it will also get into your bones and cartilage and whatnot. So you will suffer the indignities of declining mobility because of this. Oh, you're muted, Scott.
Sorry. As I mentioned, we're getting close to the end of our time. We find that on the mainstream social media sites that we live stream, that if we say the wrong thing according to certain people, we get banned and censored and shadow banned and all the rest of it. So if you have any questions you want to ask us or want to know what we really think about some things, join us on Telegram at t.me/lifeandco. And
right. Actually, this is your opportunity to be one-on-one with Scott and I, because we do open the microphone. You can actually ask a question live and get your answer right there on the spot.
And before we go, the last thing I wanted to say is Martin is a health coach, and he offers a free 15-minute consultation with everybody. So if you've got any issues at all that you want to talk about or you want to get an opinion on, Martin's got 40 years of experience in this world, and he is constantly studying, constantly going to summits and trainings, keeping up to date on everything that's going on in terms of functional medicine. And let's say the difference between functional medicine and our mainstream medical system is we want you to get better. They want to sell pills. And that's, kind of the bottom line. So,
yeah, the difference between cure and treatment.
Yeah. Oh, you can't say that word. So, Martin, before we go, any last comments on toxicity?
Well, it happens to all of us, including me, and we have to deal with it. It's the blocking factor. It's stopping your natural homeostatic built-in health-seeking system from expressing itself fully.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you over at Telegram. Right now, we're heading there. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.